I'd like to welcome everyone here in television audience to this February the 17th Planning Board meeting, and those that are joining us for television. I also appreciate Commissioner Colson always being here supporting us, and at this time we have our roll call.
Hey, Barefoot. Here. Lyman Hardy.
Here.
R.J. Hemby. Anthony Herron.
Here.
Aaron Hines.
Here.
Ricky Hines. Matt Nobles.
Here.
Johnny Penner.
Here.
Kenneth Ross.
Here.
Danny Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Chairman, we received notice that Clayton Malloy Jr. will not be here tonight.
Okay. All right. At this time we'll stand up and have our prayer by Anthony Herron and pledge allegiance by Mr. Herron. Johnny Pound.
Let us bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all things. Help us, your community servants, the Pitt County Board of Planning and Zoning, to be better, do better, and make the proper decisions in the planning and zoning areas of Pitt County. Bless us all. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How about approval of our minutes of our December 16th meeting?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, everybody in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Now we go in our zoning administration. If Eric could come up and.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have one zoning item for you tonight. It is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. It's a text amendment regarding cemetery setbacks. The request is from Mr. Don Brown to reduce the minimum setbacks for interment within a cemetery or mausoleum that's not on the same property as a church. The following proposed amendments represent the request from Mr. Brown, as well as some other edits made by staff, and I'll go through these. It's very briefly, and also describe some of our justification for it as well. Just to familiarize yourself with the requirements for cemeteries in the zoning ordinance, the minimum lot area for a cemetery is 5 acres. You can see it's permitted in just about all of our districts except for the industrial districts. And then we have a few general requirements. The first is that all applicable requirements of the North Carolina General Statutes and Pitt County concerning interment of human dead shall be met. The current setback, no interment shall take place within 100 feet of any property line or public road right-of-way. The proposed amendment for tonight is to reduce these setbacks on the property line, reduced to 50 feet, and along public road right-of-ways to reduce within 25 feet. And I'll describe exactly why we're recommending that here in just a second. Also, the last requirement would be that buildings for the maintenance, management, rent, and or sale of cemetery lots located at least 100 feet from any lot line that adjoins a residential zoning district. So again, the only change that we're looking at tonight are the items you see underlined in red for the setback. So all the other ones are current regulations. We're not proposing any other changes to that. The proposed 50-foot setback that's along the property line, we feel like that is consistent. We've done some research with other communities. A lot of them have lesser setbacks, but one of the issues that we were looking at is in the county, we do have some properties that are still on well water, and so environmental health regulations require a 50-foot separation between water supply wells and grave sites. So this would allow us to still maintain that 50-foot setback without affecting anybody else's property. So if we had a lesser setback, if somebody had a well on their property that was adjacent to a new cemetery going in or even an existing cemetery, if it was less than 50 feet, it could affect that well, and we don't want that. As far as the 25-foot setback that we're proposing along the public road right-of-ways, Mr. Brown had originally proposed 20 feet. With being along public road right-of-ways, we send it to DOT for their review and comment. They commented that they would prefer to see 25 feet because what that does is on a typical 60-foot wide right-of-way, that would allow them to be able to add an additional 50 feet of right-of-way to be able to upgrade it to 110 feet, which is for thoroughfare status. And DOT doesn't want to be in the business of trying to relocate graves for widening a road. So we felt that was suitable. Mr. Steve Sproul, his surveyor, is here tonight too, and we discussed those changes, and they seem to be amenable to those. But as far as our land use plan, as we talked about, zoning amendments also have to follow the same consistency and reasonableness guidelines that rezonings do. We feel like the proposed setback, again, is consistent because it will provide sufficient separation to minimize conflicts between cemeteries and adjacent land uses, as well as meet those minimum separation from water supply wells as required by the state. Additionally, the 25-foot setback along public road right-of-ways will protect existing transportation corridors by allowing typical right-of-ways to be improved to thoroughfare status. We also feel that it's reasonable and in the public interest because it allows the greater utilization of land for public cemeteries while also maintaining adequate separation from adjacent properties. Additionally, as I mentioned, there's a listing in your package tonight that show the setbacks for other jurisdictions that we researched, and we feel like these are consistent with those requirements or those other requirements in other jurisdictions. One other thing I want to mention too, just to clarify, again, this is only for the public sort of for-profit cemeteries. This will not apply to church cemeteries and also will not apply to private family cemeteries. Those fall under separate sets of guidelines. So just to clarify, this is only for public cemeteries. So our recommendation tonight be for the board to forward the draft amendment language to the Board of County Commissioners with a favorable recommendation. The process is that we now would like to entertain public comments by the board. The board would then make the recommendation to the commissioners. The commissioners are scheduled to hold a public hearing on this request on March 21st, and they'll take action on the request at that time. And with that, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to open up for public comments.
Okay, at this time, we have two signed up for public comments. That's Steve Sproul and Ms. Don Brown. Ms. Sproul, come around and give your name.
Good evening, planning board members. My name is Steve Sproul. I'm representing the owner here tonight. We feel like the request we're making is a reasonable request and within the guidelines that most other communities operate by, and I feel like it's a reasonable request. One thing I would like to point out, in the current setback of 100 feet from the property lines, when you have a 5-acre tract and you come 100 foot in from all four sides, it reduces the usable area of that tract to about 2.5 acres, depending on the shape of that 5-acre property. So we feel like the current regs are a little bit overbearing on what the person can use their property for, and we think that this request is very reasonable. Any questions, I will be glad to try to answer.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. What, Steve?
Mr. Brown.
Well, okay, well, Mr. Brown, give your name and.
Good evening, Don Brown. I'd like to first thank God for being here and thank this board for allowing me to come out this afternoon. Just trying to be able to do something better for the community and offer some revenues and avenues to the county here. And I just want to thank you all for allowing us to come tonight and hoping that we be able to go forward with this.
Mr. Brown, I appreciate what you've done. I went and looked at that cemetery, and it's nice, and if you get down there towards Stick Valley and you look at the other one, nobody takes care of it, and at least you'll be permanent, and you gotta keep it up for the people, and I think you're doing a good service for the community, and I appreciate everything you do for Aiden.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else got any questions?
One question, Mr. Brown. The cemetery gonna be operated under your funeral home, right?
Yes, sir.
I know that he was saying, let everybody be clear here, he was saying it operated under state guidelines, but as long as he operated under his funeral home, he don't have answer to the state. If he operated under the state, then he had answer to the state. I'm familiar with the guidelines of as far as I'm concerned, I make a motion that we let him do what he need to do with it. Like Mr. Ross said, I went down and looked at it, and it's nice.
Anybody else, you got any comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we accept our planning board proposal.
My second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. You have it. Thank you, Don, for
Thank
coming
you.
up. Okay, now James will be up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just as a reminder, that was for recommendation to go before the commissioners. There'll be a public hearing, hopefully at their March 21st meeting, and we will then go about amending the zoning ordinance. So tonight, in your package, starting on page 15, I'm sorry, page 16, make that page 18. I'll get it right yet. Just wanted to provide a little bit of follow-up information on the items that were included tonight. Number one, of course, you've already mentioned Commissioner Colson being here. He has been duly appointed by our new chair. Commissioner Beth Ward is our new chairperson for the Board of Commissioners. Has appointed Mr. Colson for another one-year term as our liaison here, so we appreciate his willingness to come out and provide support to the board. Also, there are quite a number of other items. I think in front of you, if you don't have a copy of our annual report, Tab can certainly get you one. I think it went out in the agenda package. What you've got in your package tonight is a black and white version of the color version you also received. So just know the viewing public can go onto our departmental website and take a look at our annual report from last year. This board has been very instrumental in a number of items that are highlighted in there, most particularly the one on the front cover, and that being the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan that was adopted last year. So just wanted to bring that to your attention and to the folks that are watching, that they can go online and view all that. We do have a small number of hard copies available at our office as well. Also, moving right along, our 2016 department work program, number of items that staff will be involved with. This is on page 20 and 21. Over the upcoming 12 months, we usually update this every 6 months to kind of keep you abreast of what activities we're involved with. Probably one of our bigger projects will be the Candlewick area sewer project. And you may recall we've mentioned in the past that the county has received over $3 million to provide sewer service out to an area that's experiencing some septic system failures. And in so doing, we've been working with a consultant as well as Greenville Utilities to provide that service to this area. This should all be in place within the next couple of years, so we were working on a very tight time frame, and you can see some of the smaller steps that we'll be taking under that project in the work program. Some other items too, riparian buffer ordinance amendments is listed on the sheet in your packages. Stormwater is actually the riparian buffer ordinance. There'll be some changes based on some state legislation that was adopted last year, and we'll have to amend our regulations. Just wanted to highlight the Vidant Memorial Geospatial Analysis. We do, from time to time, lend our mapping expertise out, and Vidant Memorial is assisting, has asked for our assistance with this. Also, solid waste ordinance update. Several departments within county government seek our assistance on some of these items too, so we'll be assisting with an update on that. What we're trying to do is also close the gap between some of our condemnation procedures in our building code with that of a solid waste ordinance. And where might they come together? If you're familiar with some of these dilapidated structures around the county, sometimes they get past an issue with the building code. There's really not much of a structure left. There's just a lot of debris or solid waste left. And we're trying to get to a point where we can help clean up those properties a little bit quicker. The Southwest Bypass Corridor Land Use Plan, we're a little bit on hold there. The city, with its extended land use planning efforts, are coming out to cover that area. It's still within the planning jurisdiction of the county, so we plan to pick up our efforts later this year once they complete theirs. The district park enhancements, we are looking at some possible trail expansion, and certainly some drainage improvements out there. We've had a lot of water, a lot of rain over the last few months, and there are some areas that are in serious jeopardy of kind of being absorbed into the wooded area or swamp area out there if we don't get some better drainage improvements there. Community Development Administration, we have a number of ongoing grants that we're administering there as well. So I'll let you take a look at all the different activities. Just know we'll be busy, and some of these items will be coming back to you for consideration throughout the year. The other items are follow-up items from some of the things that you dealt with last year. First up was the text amendment for accessory structures. You might recall there had been a question or actually request about allowing accessory buildings on non-contiguous properties. The commissioners did approve that back in December. Also, I mentioned the Southwest bypass earlier. We've had a couple of sand mines that have been considered. One required a rezoning process that you dealt with back in December as well. Those two items have been approved by the commissioners. If you saw the article in Sunday's paper about the Southwest bypass and the amount of field material that's going to be required to build that 11 or 12 mile segment of road, it's no surprise that we're getting a lot of requests for sand mines in the area. We do have some very good sand material north of the river, and a lot of times they're looking for good quality sand in close proximity, and we just happen to have that here. So no surprise that we'll get probably more of these requests in the near future. A few other items just for your viewing, and that's our departmental report for December and January. And there are some articles that Tab had collected about solar farms that are also included for your reading pleasure. So with that, I mentioned our website. It's on the screen now. If folks go on there, they can certainly view what we've discussed tonight about the departmental work program, our annual report from last year, and several other items that we're working on. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that's all we have for tonight.
Okay, and anybody else got anything from the board? If not, we'll stand adjourned. I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you.